Germany's top university and Pakistan's top university both produce brilliant students, but they train them in fundamentally different ways. TUM and LUMS are Germany's and Pakistan's top ranked universities respectively. I had the unique privilege of studying at both. LUMS for my bachelor's and TUM for my master's. So if you're someone who's interested in either of these, we're going to compare these two top universities. And to make this comparison fair, we're going to compare three things. The first is exams and grading philosophy. The second is job prospects, super important. And thirdly, but also very importantly, student life. Let's dive in. Now, I think exams is the component that really divides these two universities because exams couldn't be more different. When I joined LUMS for my bachelor's after high school, I definitely thought that the exams were hard, much harder than I thought they would be. But this might be a hot take that I didn't think that they were harder than my A-level examinations. A-level mathematics, I'm looking at you. Now, this depended a lot on the course itself because no two exams, even at LUMS, were the same. For instance, the grading criteria in my business courses was most focused on group collaborations, and we had to submit an assignment at the end of the semester. While my engineering courses' grading criteria mostly depended on written assignments. There were other courses as well where you had to submit weekly assignments or monthly assignments depending on the course. But the one red line throughout the entire grading criteria was that your grade was spread out throughout the semester, which means you had multiple opportunities to get it right. Let's take an example. Let's take how to be a cool guy at LUMS. How to be a cool guy is divided into 4 categories. The first one is your group project, where you have to present your findings at the end of the course. The second one is a half-yearly examination. The third one is CP or class participation. And the fourth one, finally, is a final exam. Each of these courses has their own weightage. So for instance, the group project might be 30% of your final grade, the half-yearly 20%, CP 10%, and the final, the remaining 50%. But do you see the pattern here? The common theme here becomes really clear when you look at TUM. Most of the grades of the courses I took at TUM were dependent on one final exam. That's right, all of your hard work was dependent on 160 to 120-minute written examination. This means that if you're having a bad day, you're screwed. There's no other way to put it. Now the question becomes, which one did I prefer? Different people have different perspectives. So for instance, I have this one friend from TUM who really liked the final examinations. He's really smart, so he used to study when he was comfortable, a few months before the start of the final examinations, and he used to get done with the final examinations and then he was carefree. For the rest of the semester, he focused on other parts of his life, like his job or his hobbies or traveling. I personally really preferred the LUMS criteria, which gave me the comfort to think that even if I screwed up in one component, I could still get a good grade at the end of the semester if I picked up the rest of the components. Before we move on to the next component, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So let me know in the comments down below which one you prefer. The second one is a really important one, and this is job prospects. Because a lot of people go to university to help them understand what the university degree can do for them in the future. Of course, other people go to universities also to become more knowledgeable. But it's also a signaling effect that tells the market that I am knowledgeable, I am valuable, and this is why you should hire me or pay me money. So, how do these two universities differ? On the one hand, you have LUMS. The startup and corporate environment in Pakistan is notorious for preferring LUMS students. So much so that in certain sectors, like for instance the consulting sector, they will only hire people from LUMS, which essentially means that if you have a half-decent CV and LUMS's name on your resume, you will likely get an interview. Of course, it's different in different cases, but it really matters if you have that label on your resume. If you think about it, it's a bit crazy, but it's great for you if you go to LUMS. On the other hand, you have TUM. And this is fundamentally something that's different in Germany, where the preference is most for the skills you have. So it does matter what you studied. Now, don't get me wrong. This does not mean that TUM alumni don't do well. They're really highly ranked in terms of their employment prospects. But the environment here is different. At the same time, having a big name on your resume definitely helps, especially in a tough job market like today. Because the likelihood of you getting connected to someone or an alumni is higher if you're in a place like TUM. So what does that mean for you? It means that having a big name, regardless of whether you're in Pakistan or in Germany, definitely helps. However, the relative benefit you get from being in LUMS in Pakistan is higher. At the same time, I have to say, it also depends on where you want to work. Most people in Germany do not know what LUMS is. But if you're in Pakistan, that's definitely something that you can use to your advantage. Now, lastly, but equally important one is student life and extracurricular activities. I personally think both universities have excellent extracurricular activities and clubs available. LUMS, in my opinion, is more focused on business and entrepreneurship, including consulting. At the same time, TUM is most focused on engineering, being a technical university, which means you have excellent infrastructure for both of these things in each respective university. I personally was a part of co-curricular activities at both, in a consulting faculty at LUMS and an engineering faculty at TUM. At TUM, I had the amazing opportunity to join a club, work on a project, go to the US, win a competition, and then come back. And it's one of my fondest memories in Germany. But the fundamental difference between these two universities, which I found really interesting, was that TUM gives a lot of student freedom, which essentially means that they really treat you like an adult, which means that if you want to do something, you have to take the initiative, which I think is a net positive because it really, really helps you later on in life. That if you want to do something, even in a student club capacity, you are the ones who have to make the decisions and take the necessary steps. In summary, I would say both of these places are excellent. If you get an opportunity to attend either one or both, I would say that you take it with both hands. If you're interested in all things Germany, consider subscribing and I'll see you in the next one. And don't forget to share this video with someone who's interested in either LUMS or TUM.